Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm Rat Trailer Trash.
And I'm Chief Meteorologist Shane Rumble.
Welcome to episode 289, WCW Thunder.
Thunder. Hear the thunder.
Oh, no, I was going AC/DC.
Oh, Sorry,
Don't take it down.
We're in Oklahoma City.
I guess this is a 3-hour show. It deserves...
It took itself down from the start.
Whatever that band is called. Could you ever conceive of a dragon?
I can imagine.
What a bad day.
I can imagine one with his shirt on,
it's like,
jumping around stage in his boxers.
What if dragons? Yeah. Fucking nerds.
Hey.
Hey.
They found their niche.
Yeah.
This is the first episode of Thunder, produced by WCW. It took place on January 8th, 1998, from the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, Florida, with an attendance of 4,121.
I mean,
it's
you know,
Thunder,
it's B-show.
Coming from
B-show
55,000. Oh, Thunder. Did they feel the thunder? Did they hear the thunder?
We're about to find out, brother.
Hopefully nobody got hit by lightning, or lightning only happens when it's raining, or whatever the words are.
Yeah,
So Shane, we're in Florida, Daytona Beach to be specific.
Yeah, we are.
Did you do what you do?
Well, here we are, yes. Back in good old Florida. Been down here more than a few times.
Yep.
Brought some seafood, brought some desserts, brought some beverages. And today I brought a little variety. Doing what I typically do, getting on the old Google machine and saying, what the hell do people in Daytona Beach eat? What's popular here? What's the official dessert? What's the sandwich? We've had the sandwich already. It's the Cuban. We've had the dessert, a couple different variations of it, and this time I brought another one because it just happened to be on this little menu here in the key lime pie.
If only Cheeseburger in Paradise was still open.
I don't know if they'll deliver this far.
No, I mean, they used to have one in Oklahoma City.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was over by Quail Springs Mall, I think.
Okay. I never went there.
It was a long time ago.
I love that place.
I never went there.
Yeah, this
And
time...
chocolate nachos for dessert.
Oh, we've had this conversation.
We've got the key lime pie, but we can't just have a sweet treat because
It's a long show.
yeah,
It's 3 hours.
It's a long show. We need the sugar to keep us awake and eventually make us crash. But I also looked, and you've got a wide variety of things that are popular in Florida. Lots of seafood, fresh fish, oranges, key lime pie, as I've mentioned, Cuban sandwiches. But they showed up on the list as gator tails, fried gator tails to be exact. So I went to a place here in the city known as The Catch. It's got a big seafood menu.
Yeah, it's like a southern seafood
fried varieties. You've got your boils. You've got your grilled options. Just a lot of everything. They've got oysters on the half shell, shrimp, crawfish. They have something called catfish. I don't know what type of fish that is exactly, but
Fish of the day, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably just their fish of the day.
I don't know if it was just their standard house white fish or something.
Yeah, we only got pollock in today. Come back tomorrow if you want halibut.
Yeah, we've got some fried gator, some key lime pie. The fried gator just comes with a little bit of lemon to squeeze over the top of it, and then a little remoulade. Key lime pie looks pretty simple. Graham crackery crust.
It's pretty simple. There's
whipped
not
cream.
It's actually not a whole lot of.
Not too tart.
It's not tart at all.
Oh, but it's very lime heavy. I mean, as it should be. But that key lime pie is wonderfly trashy, is the way I would put it. It's like, oh yeah, you nailed this. In the they weren't trying to plus it up in any way, but it absolutely delivers as a key lime pie.
I'm gonna do my bite of gator into the microphone. I don't know. You don't make any noise,
I don't
really.
think it'll make any noise.
Yeah, the lemon takes away some of the crunch.
Typically, you can find gator, State Fair on a stick.
Yeah.
It has a very tastes like chicken quality to it.
Are you guys like big fans of eating alligator? Do you ever
I enjoy fried alligator whenever
I've tried it from
whenever
a
I
lot
see
of
it on
places.
a menu.
Yeah.
I mean, typically it's on a Cajun menu somewhere.
Probably the second or third time I've had it, but every time I've had it, I'm just like, I would rather have this have been like fried shrimp or something, because it has like a mixture between the texture of chicken and shrimp, but it has less flavor than either of them.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, well, I'm glad that we killed one of these evil dinosaurs, and at least we're doing something with it by eating it. But like, I'm like, I don't know. I
We're
understand.
taking care of the inside.
Yeah.
Somebody else is carrying around a bag with the outsides, I'm sure.
Yeah. I recently visited some family in South Carolina, and the area that one family member lives in is basically like pretty new. They just started like building like roads and like new shit, like, and knocking down like really thick forest.
Mm-hmm.
And so they built like all these like retention ponds because it's like almost swampland. Really beautiful, but they have these like retention ponds built around like some old folks' homes. And I think within like the last calendar year, because there's these retention ponds and these old people go out for a stroll, but they're not very fast.
Yeah.
There's been 8 of them murdered by alligators.
Jeez.
And I'm like, yeah, that's why you don't build shit
Yeah,
here.
you basically
It's like
made a feeding.
Yeah, it's like that's why you don't. Yeah, it's like go back to Charleston, get away from here. But yeah, so brutal. It's like, come on, guys. But it just wasn't planned out very well. It's just some rich people, basically building a town.
I'm not gonna lie.
Very
I like
beautiful.
The key lime pie a little more than I do the alligator.
I agree. But I'm a sucker for key lime pie.
Get some of the whipped cream. The whipped cream gives it just that nice little sweetness to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sucker for anything lime or lemon when it comes to desserts.
Same.
Well, something that would happen right around the same time as this Thunder, the number one song the very next week would be Savage Garden's Truly, Madly, Deeply.
I feel like we've talked about Savage Garden so much.
I think you guys may keep bringing them up, but this is
Maybe.
the first time we've
What's funny is,
No, we've talked about their album release.
yeah, we did.
Did we?
We for quite a while when we talked about it, but it's funny because I turned, I guess, probably 10. I moved here like the winter of '97. Moved to Oklahoma City, and I remember the month that I turned 10. This song was inescapable, and it was the number one song of that year that I turned 10.
98.
Yeah, at least that month, and it probably held for quite a while, but it's pretty funny. It's like, oh, it was inescapable. I don't think it's a terrible like radio pop song. It was just incredibly overplayed, but I don't have any strong opinions otherwise. What about you, Matt? Is this your karaoke jam? I can't see it.
Truly, Madly, Deeply wasn't my karaoke jam. It was One Chew, I think, was the one that I usually did.
Like a cherry cola?
Yeah.
I was like...
It's a better karaoke song. It's got a little more energy.
Yeah, this is like... You're on your like 5th shot, and you gotta sing to your girl at the table now.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, you're swaying.
I want to stand with you on the ocean. I want
But
to
then-
bathe with you in the sea. I wanna
Usually
live like this
karaoke, I
forever.
like to do weird, off the wall things.
I mean, yeah, I don't. It sucks when somebody. I think that the Four Non Blonde song should be retired from karaoke and nuked, because it's become like the biggest fucking dumb white bitch karaoke song. And like, it's a fine song. It was fun when it was a weird curio like 12 years ago, but now it's like just a song that everybody knows and seems to love.
Hey,
and I'm over it.
Hey,
I don't think it's a bad song.
what's going on?
It's got to be retired, Shane. Are you a big karaoke guy? I could see you.
Once upon a time, I'm one of those weirdos that if I'm having a bad day, if I need to de-stress, if I need to like let it all out,
Knock the cloud off.
give me a
your
microphone.
brain. Yeah.
Because I was once upon a time an aspiring country singer, so that's my happy place.
What's
If
your
I'm feeling
song?
sad,
You got probably like 10 of them, huh?
yeah. Lots of 80s stuff.
What's the one that gets the best response?
Lionel Richie, All Night Long. Or Hello.
Nice.
Lionel Richie.
Yeah. It's like a hello. Also,
you throw some Lionel Richie on, you throw some Tim McGraw on, you throw some Rascal Flatts on, you throw on some...
You're running the gamut here.
Yeah. Some TLC, throw on some Backstreet Boys.
When it usually gets the best response from me.
What?
A song that you mentioned last episode. Creep.
Oh,
I'm trying to remember what did we mention, and I can only think of the Kensuke Sasaki.
That's funny. I would not have guessed Creep as one for Matt, but I can see it.
Like I said.
What about what's the one Safety Dance? You ever do Safety Dance?
I've never done Safety Dance.
That's crazy.
It's just more fun to dance to than.
But you can dance handstand.
That's true. You can.
You can dance if you
in the music break or whatever, you can pull out the dance and you probably get a real big pop. You should pull it out next time.
Neon Moon was always one that I did. Brooks and Dunn.
That's a good song.
I was always one. Like I said, I got up there to like let out my emotions. So if I was feeling bad, I'd want to go and sing somewhere so I could make the audience cry. Because if you're crying, that means I don't have to anymore.
Oh, nice. That's fun. One that I think that just popped in my head is Fishing in the Dark. Would be one, maybe the time I do, because I would actually remember all the words.
Yeah, I remember.
It's a dumb song, but it's fine.
Not too long ago, my niece posted something on Facebook, and it was that song. This is for me and my dad. Like, you don't know what this song means if you're saying this is for you and your dad.
Me and you go fishing in the dark.
It's about getting laid by the lake.
Yeah. But I mean, it's obscure enough.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, it's not explicit in a creepy way.
What was the Jason Mraz that did the duo?
I hate him.
Lucky.
It better not be that one song, The Remedy. That might be one of the worst songs ever written.
Hey, that first album was great.
All right, we'll agree to disagree.
I don't remember what it was, but it was a...
Jason Mraz and Kobe Calais did Lucky.
Yeah, that song, but me and my friend, we switched
parts. Gender swapped it?
Gender swapped it.
That's fun.
Which was fun.
Nice.
What just popped in my head is, who was that lady? She had 2 songs in like maybe 2008 to 10 that were like big radio hits, and then she just disappeared. But she did the like Bleeding Love song.
Oh.
Leona Lewis or something like that.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, that she had. I don't remember what the other song was, but that's a great song and would be a good karaoke song.
Yeah. Lisa Loeb was always one that people did.
Torn. I bet Torn gets done a lot.
Torn. When American Idol started, everybody was already doing Fuji or Lauryn Hill.
Oh yeah, Lauryn Hill covering. Is it Gloria Gaynor? Who did the original?
I think so. Yeah.
I think that's right.
Worst karaoke songs that I hated hearing anytime I went. Anytime somebody got up and did anything Meatloaf.
Oh yeah.
Paradise by the Dashboard.
I hate when people do Garth Brooks.
Oh yeah.
All Garth Brooks?
People can't do Garth Brooks. I've never karaoke'd with you, so I don't know this.
But
literally, I've literally never heard anyone do a good Garth Brooks rendition.
Yeah. But I bet you get a lot of that.
It's usually the drunk guy in the corner that goes, I want to sing, I got friends in low places.
Yeah, it's like that's the one that's going to get spammed.
And they mumble through all the words until they get to the chorus.
Yeah.
And then everybody's singing
all they know is, Oasis.
Yeah, it's like the cheapest, the cheapest pop.
Speaking of Oasis.
Don't Look Back in Anger?
Yeah.
If you could pull that one off, it'd be great.
That's one of
It's the best song.
Yeah. First time I busted that out at a bar, everybody looked at me like, he's really doing this song. I'm like,
yeah. It's a great song. I think it's
anybody can get up here and do Wonderwall.
I think it's their best
song. The perfect karaoke song is still a song that everyone knows.
Yeah, but is surprised by.
But can be surprised by.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It truly, madly, deeply is the thing to do at karaoke.
I bet it would go over pretty well.
Let's talk some Thunder. Highlights of wrestlers with rainstorm sounds before the logo of our show hits. And Tony Schiavone welcomes everyone to the show as pyro and a laser light show happens over a rock wall of an entranceway.
Yeah, they got a hell of a set here. They got a nice little entrance. There's so much pyro. I'm like, this building's too small for all this pyro. Someone's going to get hurt.
Bobby the Brain Heenan and Lee Marshall join, where they talk about all what has happened since Starrcade.
Starrcade Fallout.
Old Stagger Lee.
Tony says that Macho Man is supposed to be in the first match, but he hasn't arrived yet. So they go to footage from Nitro from earlier in the week, where the NWO arrive in limos. And we see Bischoff and Hall have a private conversation away from everyone else as Shivani ponders if there are problems within the ranks of the NWO. We then go to an interview Mean Gene had with Eric during the show, where he states there are no problems. We then get an announcement from WCW Executive Vice President Nick Lambros, no clue if that's a real person or not, that wrestlers who don't follow the rules will be fined, followed by Nick Patrick being suspended by J.J. Dillon. Then in the main event of Nitro, Luger rolls up Savage to win, only for Macho Man to complain about a fast count, before turning his attention back towards Lex, ramming him into a ring post and attempting to hit him with a chair. But Bischoff is out to yank the steel away, so Savage decks Eric. Hogan then runs down, shoving Macho, followed by Nash coming out to knock Savage to the floor, leaving Hulk wondering what is happening with the NWO.
Editor's note, no posted for things that already happened.
Oh.
Go ahead, Shane.
This start to the show is confusing as fuck.
They have 3 hours to
It's
fill.
like 7 minutes.
They have
of
3 hours.
Recapping
what happened on Nitro.
Yeah. Welcome to our new show where we're going to tell you everything that you've already seen earlier in the week because we don't know for sure if our first match is going to happen.
And pay-per-view, and we're going to talk about the pay-per-view, show some of the pay-per-view. It is an hour clip show and with a wrestling show attached. But we'll continue to talk about it. Let's get through this, Matt.
So we get our first match. Chris Adams.
Hey, good to see you, bud.
Versus Macho Man Randy Savage.
Hey, he made it.
With Miss Elizabeth. I know, I guess he made it in time.
And
I mean,
Lee,
that extra,
uniform and everything.
That extra 7 minutes is all he needed.
Yeah. Lee Marshall's fucking goofy ass brings up Pongo, the old political cartoon, and I'm like, get this guy out of here. I'm already done with him.
See, I heard him talking Pongo, but I guess I thought he was talking about just Dalmatians.
No, he's just talking about some old political cartoon that nobody knows or cares about.
So Macho attacks before the bell, hitting a clothesline and dropping Adams throat first on the ropes for a 2 count. Savage then works over Chris with a gut-wrench powerbomb, makes a cover, but pulls Adams up to stop the count, followed by throwing Chris out to the floor, where he's run into the steel steps and dropped on the guardrail. Adams reverses a whip to send Macho into the ring post.
Posted.
Holding his arm forever.
It was.
When Luger finally runs down and clocks him with a chair, rolling Savage in and allowing Chris to make the cover for the pin.
And the win. And this is the Oops All Angles edition of WCW Thunder.
Post-match, J.J. Dillon is seen talking to the ref as we head to commercial.
That's never good.
We come back to Hollywood Hogan and Eric Bischoff making their way to the ring. And Eric claims nothing is wrong with the NWO, and Hogan wants his title back, before Hollywood brags about how the ladies love him in Daytona, and he is the champ because he is too sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan says everyone will see the 3 count tonight, and Sting will never beat the man who made professional wrestling, because he is the champ and will be for life, followed by going to another commercial.
Sweet because he's the same color as a butterscotch candy.
Make sure to watch WCW Saturday night, 6:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. DDP, Glacier, Booker T, Chris Jericho, and many others will be in action.
At least they led with a star.
Yep. And finished.
Yeah. I mean, I like Booker as well.
Many others, yeah. Mike Tenay is then in the aisleway with J.J. Dillon, and J.J. says he is upset with Luger for interfering in the match.
Ooh.
So therefore, he has no choice but to reverse the decision.
So therefore, we don't need referees anymore, because Apparently, the ref's decision is no longer final as long as there's a JJ.
Yeah, that's the thing about wrestling is like reviewing the tape is not a wrestling thing. It stops wrestling from being what it is when we're like talking about reviewing tape or watching on. But continue.
Lex comes out to say he is sick and tired of it.
As he should be.
The NWO has attacked us for years, and now when WCW decides to fight back,
we've had enough.
They decide to take action.
Yep, it's bullshit.
Luger continues by telling Dylan that he can do what he wants, but the wrestlers are going to do what they have to do. Followed by wondering where JJ was when he was attacked at Starrcade. Dylan says he's just trying to do his job.
Finally.
And officially makes Savage the winner by DQ in the first match.
I mean, it's a decent angle, especially after the Sting bullshit where it's like, okay, well, we finally had enough, but I feel like that us as viewers have also finally had enough to where this is not as compelling as it should be.
Yep.
Maybe that's just hindsight, because the machinations behind the screen of WCW.
So we go to our second match. Louie Spicolli versus Rick Martel.
Holy shit. Can you believe that Rick Martel looks this great in 98?
Right?
Didn't mean to rhyme.
We haven't seen Rick since Royal Rumble 1995.
Jesus.
Episode 141.
He looks incredible.
And we are on 289 now, so since more than halfway through the existence of this
Yeah, and
podcast.
like, it's crazy. He looks even like, every time Steamboat shows up, he looks great.
Mm-hmm.
But Rick Martel has always had more muscle than Steamboat, and he might be a little bit smaller here, but he's defined and looks like a world beater.
Oh, yeah.
He looks awesome. I was excited.
Match gets going. Both men back and forth with arm locks, followed by a clothesline from Martel to send Spicolli out to the floor. And Rick heads out only for Louie to run away, with Martel giving chase back inside the ring, where Rick nails an arm drag and a pair of drop kicks to send Spicolli out to the floor, saying he's had enough.
And by the way, we just said all these nice things about Rick Martel. Louie Spicolli is wrestling in a shirt and dress pants and has never looked worse. True bummer.
Yeah, he went up to the big leagues to take a step back.
Yeah,
because he looked like a star in ECW.
Yeah, he's gained weight and he's not wearing it well.
Martel again chases after Louie, dragging him back to the ring, where Spicolli gains an advantage by attacking as Rick enters, working him over in the corner as the flock come out through the crowd to their ringside seats. And Martel ducks a clothesline and bounces off the ropes with a crossbody for a 2 count. But a shot to the gut by Louie allows him to go up top for a double axe handle, only for Rick to catch Spicolli in the gut. And the two trade strikes and turnbuckle smashes when Martel delivers a back body drop, followed by a drop kick that misses. Louie then goes for a spine buster, but Rick blocks and lands a big left hand before hitting a spine buster of his own, followed by locking in the Quebec Crab for the submission and the win.
Go Rick, go! Looks so great and athletic, and Louie looks like a pile.
The Quebec Crab.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about that name.
Whatever.
I mean, it's a Boston Crab. It should just be a Boston Crab.
He's from Quebec.
I know, but
They
he was from Quebec before, and he still used the Boston Crab.
Yeah. It's been
I guess he was more arrogant back then.
In wrestling years, it's been a decade, so, like...
It's true.
Let him try something else out.
The last time that we saw him, we also saw, 242 other wrestlers that year. So.
Ooh, what a callback.
You're still low on that number. We go to commercial, but come back to footage of the Giant and Hall at Starrcade, which we covered a few weeks ago on episode 285.
And boy, my eyes rolling. Half the show's going to be Starrcade replay? Yeesh.
Yeah.
Cool if you didn't have the pay-per-view at the time.
Replay and, rematches.
But I just want to forget the whole thing at this point.
We then go to our third match, Tenzan versus Ohara with Sonny Onoo. And the last time we saw Ohara was at G1 Climax 1997, episode 262. And today tells us that Ohara attempted to join the NWO Japan, but Chono and Muda spray-painted the word dog on his back. In Japanese, not like actually dog.
Yeah.
So his new nickname is the Freedom Dog.
Sounds better in Japanese.
Yeah.
Ohara attacks with chops, stomps, headbutts, and throat thrusts, causing Tenzan to collapse. But once back up, exchanges strikes with his opponent, knocking Ohara down with Mongolian chops.
Mongo.
Tenzan with a body slam and a throat chop, only for Ohara to rake the eyes, but he misses a clothesline, allowing Tenzan to nail a spinning heel kick. And Sonny grabs the boot of Tenzan to distract him, with Ohara delivering a leaping clothesline, followed by a powerbomb for a 2 count. Tenzan is then whipped to a corner, but he gets a boot up on the charging Ohara, allowing him to come off the second rope with more Mongolian chops before hitting a TTD, a kneeling cradle reverse pile driver, and heading up top to nail a diving headbutt for the pin and the win.
Yeah, I know that's a lot of words to say spike pile driver, but but yeah, it was it's got its own, it's a modified pile driver for sure. Mike Tenay compares Ohara to Ray Traylor, which I was like, that's kind of rude, and I am a bigger fan of Ray Traylor than a lot of people, but it's not the way to get him over.
I think it has to do with
he tried to
get into the end.
Yeah. I know, but it was just still,
more than
I kind of thought that same thing too.
Yeah, it's like,
I wonder how he feels being called
back
the
off.
Ray Traylor of New Japan.
And like I said, I'm a bigger fan of Ray Traylor than a lot of people are. Ohara had a very nice theme song of like a traditional Japanese music thing that I quite enjoyed. But moving on,
we go off to commercial. But we return to footage of Ric Flair in the ring on Nitro, and he tells Sting that everyone is coming for him, followed by turning his attention to Bret Hart, which brings him out. And the Nature Boy says everyone wants to hear his saying, with Nate standing in the same ring. So the Hitman obliges, continuing that if Flair has a problem with it, too bad. The Nature Boy hopes that Bret doesn't think he's serious when he's standing in the same ring as Nate, leading to Hart taking his jacket off and telling Flair if he has a problem, do something about it.
Well, he's going to have to knock off this drunk that he has, obviously, in the ring before he gets in a wrestling match. Because Rick's looking a little, a few sheets to the wind, as they say.
We go to our fourth match. Chris Jericho versus the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. And Jericho brings some dry cleaning with him to the ring, taking the mic to say he is an embarrassed man, but now a changed man. That his behavior the last couple of weeks has been atrocious, and the real Chris is not the sniveling, whining baby you have seen.
He wants to be a role model.
The real Jericho is the man you tune in to watch every week. The fans place on a pedestal, a role model that has made each and every one of their lives better. Followed by apologizing to Dave Penzer, giving him the dry cleaned jacket, and assuring him it will never happen again.
So, I know we've gotten to a point where Chris Jericho just makes up a new thing every week, and we just want him to shut up. But how often does he reinvent himself from this point forward? Maybe every year?
In WCW, constantly.
Okay, so that's just a part of him as a person.
Well, it becomes part of him because he constantly gets overlooked. I mean, that becomes his character in WCW is, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this because you guys are only paying attention to the NWO.
Yeah, it's a good idea then. Now I feel like I have different feelings.
Oh, yeah.
So the match gets going, back and forth action, until Chris monkey flips, wheel kicks, and drop kicks Nate down to the mat, sending him begging off. But Jericho keeps up the attack with a back body drop, with the Nature Boy landing on his knee awkwardly. And Chris gets his eyes poked, allowing Flair to get back to his feet and start chopping away, before delivering a back suplex, only for Jericho to flip out to land on his feet and nail a clothesline. A whip to the corner for a Flair flip to the apron, followed by a second rope drop kick to knock Nate down by Chris, who then brings the Nature Boy in the hard way, before attempting a lion salt, which misses.
Yeah, the bringing Nature in the hard way. I'm like, oh, Nature Boy's playing ball.
He's younger still.
Nate then goes low on Jericho, followed by more chops and right hands, but Chris fires back with strikes of his own, hitting another back body drop and a drop kick, before going up top for a flying back elbow that gets a 2 count. Jericho whips the Nature Boy to a corner and charges in, only to be backdropped out to the apron, where Chris delivers a forearm to back flare up, allowing Jericho to climb to the top for a missile drop kick. That is avoided. Nate then drops an elbow, followed by locking on the figure 4 for the submission and the win. Post-match, Chris starts throwing another tantrum, going after Pinzer and ripping his suit jacket, while Dave runs away.
This was very fast, but it was also very fun. Rick was there to take some bumps that he didn't have to, he didn't want to. How much fun can we have on the show? We got to point it out when it happens.
Weird what happens when you put quality people in a ring together.
Yeah.
So we go to our 5th match. Meng with Jimmy Hart versus the Giant. And the Tongan goes right after the big man. But nothing's budging him, before running into a power slam and a back body drop. And Tony tells us that J.J. Dillon has just passed him a note that the Giant will face Kevin Nash at Sold Out.
The only thing more annoying than Tony Schiavone at this point is Lee Marshall with Tony Schiavone. My God, somebody playing. I want to play Russian roulette with a full clip.
Giant then brings Hart into the ring, kicking Meng away, followed by press slamming Jimmy onto the Tongan. And the big man then sends Meng to a corner, charging in for a splash, only for the Tongan to move and start chopping away, before drop-kicking the knee to get the Giant down to his knees. And Meng continues with kicks to the head that gets a 2 count, followed by more strikes that have 0 effect. But the big man just gets back to his feet, grabbing the Tongan by the throat to deliver a choke slam for the pin and the win.
And this match existed for Tony Schiavone to yell about Bret Hart and Ric Flair.
Could we not have sent someone else other than Meng to get destroyed by the Giant?
I mean, Meng means nothing right now, which is a bummer because he's had some great appearances over the last few years, and they just never rode with any of it. It's like, oh, Can't
we send Vincent out there or something?
Yeah. Maybe, I guess the reason might be because Meng once meant something.
We've literally destroyed Meng
over and
one
over.
match.
Yeah. But we're Meng lovers.
I mean, we are Meng lovers.
As you should be.
Most of the world are Meng lovers.
Yeah, wrestling fans that post-internet wrestling fans love Meng.
The only thing I didn't love about Meng was his name, because his name is Haku. But
yeah,
I still call him Meng.
Yeah, it's just not as good of a name.
So we go to our 6th match. Steve Mongo McMichael versus Bill Goldberg.
Again?
See, Meng could have just fought Mongo instead and just ripped his head off.
First of all, I want to give congratulations to Mongo. He was inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame here recently.
Hey, good for him.
Woo! Get your ring.
Match gets going with McMichael diving at Bill from the apron, throwing him into the ring steps before rolling Goldberg into the ring, only for Bill to kick Mongo as he enters. Goldberg then lifts McMichael up into a press slam, but brings him down for a power slam, followed by a clothesline and applying a leg bar, forcing Mongo to make the ropes.
Did you see old Bill do that little, roll around leg
the
leg lock, whatever? Yeah.
I know, I was like, what?
I thought at first he fell, and it's like, wait, no, this is actually
on purpose. Yeah, it didn't look terrible.
Bill's yelling at the ref, allowing McMichael to clip from behind and head to the second rope for a flying shoulder block that only gets a 1 count.
Silly Mongo.
Mongo then hits a pair of 3-point stance attacks to the leg, but Goldberg no-sells, nailing the spear and the jackhammer for the pin and the win. And the brain even mentions that Bill is undefeated with his official record.
The count. Let's hear the count.
And the count.
Yeah.
His official record is at 19-0-1 now.
Yep. I'm trying to remember what it was. The last show, wasn't it like 7 at Starrcade 2 weeks ago?
7-13.
Wait, so
like
he lost a match?
No contest.
Oh, okay. I don't know if we watched that or not.
Yeah, we did. It was against Disco Inferno.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because he is not.
That's the only reason I keep mentioning it, because we did watch it.
Because this is before they decided to go full hog with him. Like, we're going to just, yeah.
I mean, with the brain mentioning that he's undefeated at this point, I feel like at this point they've decided that they're going to roll with this for a while.
Did he even bring up the no contest, or was that you?
No, that's just me.
Okay. I think
only because we saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's technically undefeated even with the no contest.
Yeah.
We then go to our 7th match. Konnan and Buff Bagwell with Vincent versus the Steiners of Rick and Scott Steiner with Ted DiBiase. And Scott and Bagwell started off with Buff flexing, so Steiner just smacks him upside his head.
I mean, he shows him what Buff really is.
Which might be my favorite part.
Yeah. It's like Buff Bagwell is like puffy ripped, and Scott Steiner is just fucking jacked. He looks like an act. There's no you couldn't make a action figure that's jacked enough to actually look like Scott Steiner in real life. He's like
Buff has the beefcake build, whereas Steiner is the genetic freak, as he one day referred to himself as.
He's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and he's truly gotten to the point now where he's starting to resemble the solo Steiner, the solo Rick. Scott.
Bagwell responds with a hip toss, but Scotty retaliates with a pair of clotheslines and a tiger driver, followed by a clothesline to Konnan to send the NWO out to regroup. And K-Dog and Rick both tag in with Steiner clubbing him down before running him into the turnbuckle with an Oklahoma slam. And Konnan reverses a whip to send Rick to the ropes, where Buff nails him from the apron, followed by a clothesline from K-Dog and a neck breaker from Bagwell for a 2 count. Buff hits a body slam and a second rope double axe handle, only for Rick to catch and toss him with a belly-to-belly suplex. And Scott then tags in to clean house with clotheslines and right hands, followed by a belly-to-belly suplex on K-Dog for a near fall as Bagwell breaks it up. And Rick jumps in the ring to clothesline Buff to the floor before climbing to the top rope. But Scott goes to the opposite corner for a super Frankensteiner that gets the pin and the win.
I know, I hated to see this. Rick goes to, finish it together, and Scott does it on his own, and it really bummed me out. But hey.
We knew it was going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, Rick Steiner is one of my favorite guys ever. And I just hate to see it happen to him.
He's got to take a little break because he's got to go make a little breaker.
Yeah. I mean, he's had a wonderful post wrestling career where he's just like sell houses and became a family man.
We go to commercials. Need a little excitement? Snap into a Slim Jim. Oh yeah.
Yep.
And we come back to our commentators saying that there has been a fine levied against Scott Steiner, and they will talk about that more very soon. And at this point, where you're going, what happened to the last match that Scott Steiner got fined for?
Mm-hmm.
I literally had to rewind it and watch the end of the match again because I was just like, what is going on?
What do you do?
We'll find out.
Okay.
Tony then sends us to footage of Larry Zbyszko versus Eric Bischoff from Starrcade, showing us the match in its entirety.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear our thoughts on that on our Starrcade episode 285. We're not covering it again.
Nope.
Yeah.
So we then come back to Thunder, where Mike Tenay calls out Larry to the stage area, where he talks about how impressive Scott once was and how he could not beat him. And Zbyszko continues that he made Hall cry in the ring way back in the AWA.
Yeah.
Used to wrestle at.
But Hall's taking the easy route now.
And that is why Scott hates his guts. as Larry brought him to the crossroads of greatness, but Hall took the easy way out.
Yep. Now he has a first class seat on the ship of fools. And I'm just like, God damn it, Larry. You're so awesome and so old school, and what a line.
Zbyszko says that Scott's headed straight to Larryland, where he benches 405 pounds, shoots a 73, and retires people.
Yeah.
That he has wrestled in front of the President of the United States, Emperor of Japan, and the King of Samoa, all while Hall was in grade school, picking his nose.
And you can tell the look on Mike Tenay's face. He's just absolutely loving this promo because it's a great promo.
Yeah.
And I imagine everybody's pretty fed up with the backstage antics of these guys that really just took it to their head.
Larry then says, I changed wrestling history in August 1980, and it sold out. I'm going to change the New World Order for life. And I literally thought this was going to, like, August 1980, I was like, you won a world title or something? Literally, he lost to Bruno in Madison Square Garden.
Oh.
I'm like, you didn't win. I was like, how did you change the wrestling?
Is that when he lost, or is that when he turned on Bruno? Because didn't he attack Bruno?
He lost to him.
Oh, so he probably turned on him before that.
So he probably turned on him before.
He was like his understudy year.
So maybe the turning on him is what he meant or whatever. But still,
he brought out the other side of Bruno. I don't know. Either way, I enjoyed his promo.
It was a wonderful promo. Larry Zbyszko could talk for 10 minutes, and it would be better than most of the things we're going to catch on a WCW Thunder show.
We go to more commercials, but come back to our commentator showing us footage of Ray Traylor having issues with the NWO, where they spray painted him on his back. See? Just like Ohara.
Just like Ohara. So now he's going to be known as Guardian Dog.
Or Guard Dog. Just Guard Dog.
And we go to our 8th match. Scott Hall versus Ray Traylor. And we get back and forth action until Ray runs Hall into a turnbuckle. Mounted punches in a corner and a trailer splash in the other that sends Scott out to the floor to regroup. And Ray stalks after him to slam Hall's head into the apron before rolling him back in to apply a bear hug. I mean, we haven't had one in a while.
We haven't.
I don't mind it when he's big, when it's a big guy, but it is funny when it's another guy that's like bigger and more fit.
Hey, just hug me.
Yeah.
And Scott rakes the eyes of the ref.
Hey, maybe he had one too many cocktails.
I'm going to be waiting for old JJ to be thrown out of fine.
Hall decides he's had enough and he starts to leave, only for Traylor to give chase, but gets clocked by the fake tag belt, allowing Scott to roll him in for a 2 count. And Hall continues with a second rope bulldog for a near fall, followed by choking him with boots, before heading to the floor to grab a chair, only for Zbyszko to be there to stop him.
ZYB.
Scott gets back in the ring and starts yelling at Larry, with Zbyszko climbing to the apron. But it's all a distraction for Hall to turn right into the trailer spike for the pin and the win.
Hell yeah. Sick. Good for Bubba.
Ray won a match.
Yep. Did you guys notice Scott Hall's trunks had Wolfpack on them?
Yeah.
I know. I was like, I mean, we were teased it earlier, but like, as far as I know, it's not a term that's been used.
They've called themselves the Wolfpack, with him, Nash, and Six are considered the Wolfpack.
Right.
We then go to our 9th match. Juventud Guerrera versus Ultimo Dragon for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. And we see footage of Guerrera defeating Psychosis on Nitro to earn this shot. Shivani then also tells us that Scott Steiner had been fined $5,000 for slapping a ref on WCW Saturday Night during a tag team bout.
What about Scott Hall poking the ref in the eye?
I mean, maybe we'll find out on Nitro about it.
Yeah, who knows?
Because this is WC. We're just now finding out Steiner's fine on Thursday.
Yeah.
Good grief.
And our competitors exchange headlocks, shoulder blocks, and kicks. before Ultimo misses an elbow drop, allowing Guerrera to hit a springboard wheel kick for a 2 count. Juvi with chops and a splash attempt that Dragon avoids and delivers a series of kicks, followed by a missed handspring back elbow. So Guerrera takes Ultimo to the top, only to be shoved off right into the ropes and crashing out to the floor. Dragon then leaps off the top with a moonsault before taking the action back inside the ring, where Ultimo floats over a back body drop, leading to the two fighting over a waistlock, which ends with Juvi being taken over with a released German for a near fall. And Guerrera's placed on the top turnbuckle with Dragon wanting to land a Hurricanrana, but he falls off, so Juvi leaps off with a crossbody, only to be drop-kicked in midair. Ultimo then goes for a powerbomb, but Guerrera counters it into a DDT, followed by coming off the top with a 450 splash for the pin and the win. Hello!
I mean, he nailed that 450.
I wasn't expecting that so soon.
I know. It's like, oh, well, that was fun and quick. My assumption is Ultimo Dragon just going back to Japan, but he was just there 4 days ago.
I mean, I think I read that Eddie was going on a tour of Japan, and that's why they took the belt off of him. But now I think Ultimo may be going on a tour of either Mexico or Japan.
Yeah.
And so they had to take the belt off him as well.
Yeah, and they kind of, at least they let Juventud, beat Psychosis. So it's like, all right, well,
And I believe, actually, the next time we see the Cruiserweight belt, Juventud won't have it either. So,
okay.
Because it gets hot-shotted, I think, again to someone else.
All right.
Mike today is in the ring, bringing out Bret, the Hitman Hart. And today tells Bret that the match is official. Hitman versus Nature Boy. That's sold out. And Hart wants everyone to understand that for years, he has called himself the best. And it's not a slight on anyone else. He has nothing but respect for Flair. He admires and respects the 13-time champ, but he believes in himself, accomplishing a lot, such as being a 5-time WWF champ. And Bret continues that now that he's in WCW, he doesn't feel he has to prove himself, but he will do it once again. The Hitman begins to say his mantra when Nate makes his way to the ring, mockingly bowing to Hart before telling him that people want Bret to say his phrase again, with the Nature Boy standing in the ring.
Deja vu.
I know, this is kind of bad.
The Hitman responds that he's going to say it and then prove it one more time, followed by saying that he's the best there is, best there was, and best there ever will be. And Flair says that in 25 years, some people have said some stupid things to him, but this is the damnedest. Before praising Hart's heritage, but he was 14 when he saw Nate for the first time, and Bret wanted to be just like him. And the Nature Boy starts talking about Bruiser Brody, Tokyo, St. Louis, being around the world 13 times. Just going off about the Hitman claiming to be better. When Hart says, to be the man, I guess I'll have to beat the man. And Flair doesn't take kindly to those words, saying it's not just being the man, it's staying the man. Woo!
And the issue with this is that it's staying the man, but Rick has not been the man or stayed the man for a while. And I'm not trying to be rude because I love him dearly, but it's just...
Don't say those words with him in the ring, man.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Not
this has, this could have been so much better, but for some reason it just didn't work as well as I wanted it to, or as well as anybody wanted it to.
You want to know what the biggest problem is?
They showed the flashback.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a problem.
But WCW fans want to cheer Ric Flair. Bret Hart is WCW's newest acquisition, and he's not in the NWO, so they want to cheer Bret Hart.
Yeah.
We should not be putting these two guys together.
Not right now.
Not right now.
No. It should be like Bret and Mr. Perfect or something.
Build up to Starrcade next year.
Yeah.
Hart and Flair, Hart should be fighting against the NWO personally. matches against Hall, Nash.
Yeah, but if he's not going to go over, it doesn't matter.
Perfect.
He's hanging out with them.
But Perfect is a good one because Perfect will take the pin.
But he caused the Sting to win the belt, so he technically should be, like, the NWO should be going after him, and he should be retaliating.
Yeah, but instead there's this, and it's just like, this just feels out of place. Like, it was cut and paste out of somewhere else, and, like, just dropped in here. Moderate side note, but very related. You guys ever seen any of Bret Hart's drawings of Ric Flair?
No.
Have you ever seen any of Bret Hart's, like, just drawings?
No.
I'm probably sure I have.
They're pretty great. They're very fun, like, cartoony, but he'll draw Ric Flair, because he doesn't love Ric Flair, but he'll draw Ric Flair just gushing blood. It's so funny.
I mean, that's the Flair I know.
yeah. But yeah, it's funny because he'll be like, oh, well, Rick just does the same match all the time, and it's like, Brett, you're also
Kettle Black.
Yeah.
Kettle Black.
You're formulaic to an extent as well, and most wrestlers are, and that's a thing, but you can't get on to Ric Flair for that. And it's like, what, are you mad at him for blading all the time? It's like he comes from a different era of wrestling. Or, look at Dusty's head.
Biggest match that
Dusty started having to, like, blade his arm because his forehead wouldn't bleed because it was just nothing but scar tissue. So, like, but yeah, this is weird. Moving on.
To our 10th match, Scott Norton versus Lex Luger.
Oh, God.
Norton attacks before the bell, knocking Lex to the floor and following out to run him into the railing and the ring post.
Posted.
Now back in the ring, Scott's working over Luger with a clothesline, backbreaker, and chops, but then misses a corner splash, allowing Lex to fire up with lariats, when Buff Bagwell would run down and jump on the apron, only to be knocked down as well. And Luger turns his attention back towards Norton, who kicks him low and delivers a shoulder breaker for a 2 count, which the commentators claim that no one has ever kicked out of.
No shoulder breaker, huh? I mean, I know he's a big guy and all, but I just can't see that being the move that will stop the world.
I love a good shoulder breaker, but I like Scott Norton a lot too. Typically more in Japan, but
Lex ducks a clothesline and nails a running forearm. Calls for the finish, lifting Scott up into the torture rack for the submission and the win. Post-match, Bagwell jumps in the ring, only to get racked as well when Savage comes into the ring, so Luger dumps Buff onto him, stopping Macho Man from being able to use a chair. But you could have gotten him fined, Lex.
He's seeing red.
We go to commercial, but come back to our announcers talking about Starrcade.
Fast count. And my thought was, will they speed up the count so it actually looks fast or not?
And they act like Nick Patrick made a fast count, but all do agree that Sting is the world champ. And Marshall sends us to footage of Starrcade's main event with the fast count. Bret Hart restarting the match, the Stinger splashes, and Sting fighting off the NWO before the Scorpion Deathlock was put on, with the Hitman calling for the bell and WCW coming into the ring to celebrate with the champ. We go to commercial again, coming back to our commentators telling us the camera was still rolling after Nitro went off the air this previous Monday, and we're going to see that footage right now.
One thing I just wanted to bring up about, because they showed this replay, maybe my least favorite thing that Hogan does, which is a very long list, is his stupid, dumb cartoon like fear spin, where he goes, no, and he puts his hands up and spins in a circle. Kill yourself. That sucks. That never works. That is a comedy spot. You dweeb. I mean, he does a lot of shit like that, but that one really, like, the back rakes, whatever, but that little cartoon scared mouse spin thing, that is some of the worst shit in all of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Continue.
So we get our 11th match. Hollywood Hogan versus Sting for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And it's joined in progress as both men are down before Hogan rakes the eyes and slams the Stinger down. But he misses the leg drop. And Sting starts stomping away, nails a Stinger splash, and goes for a second one, when Hollywood would pull the ref in between them as Tony screams, "They're out of time." And this is where Nitro ended. Camera's still rolling to see Sting apply the Scorpion Deathlock when Nick Patrick would make his way to the ring. Supposedly he was suspended earlier in the night, though. Remember that. Only for the Stinger to release the hold to grab him from the apron and toss him to the ring. Followed by grabbing hold of Patrick, which allows Hogan to attack from behind, rolling Sting up with a handful of tights for the pin and the win.
What the fuck is this?
And
There's trash thrown into the ring.
But
Yep.
as Nick is giving the belt to Hollywood, the Stinger drop kicks Hogan and clotheslines Patrick out of the ring, and Stinger starts beating down Hollywood in a corner, with Hogan calling for the troops as Stinger applies the Deathlock once again, with Randy Anderson then calling for the bell. But it doesn't ring. J.J. Dillon then comes in the ring and goes to hand the belt to Sting, when Eric Bischoff would run down and knee J.J. multiple times.
I want to fit.
So Sting nails Bischoff with a Scorpion Death Drop. The Stinger goes back to work on Hollywood, only for the NWO to finally arrive, attacking Sting, but here comes Bret Hart to help fend them off. Other WCW wrestlers such as Traylor, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Benoit, DDP, Mongo, the Steiners, Luger, and Harlem Heat all join the fray to give the NWO what they deserve, sending them retreating to the back. We then go back to Thunder.
And this is what finally made JJ do anything at all.
Mike today's in the ring with J.J. Dillon, and J.J. says the executive committee has made its decision before asking Hogan out to the ring, where he's joined by the entire NWO.
I hear a lady in the crowd yell out, "Fuck you." I couldn't feel, more at her side.
Dillon also asked Sting to come out, bring the belt, which had been cleaned off from the spray painting that used to be on.
And Sting is huge pop for Sting, obviously, but he knows this is horseshit, and he can just read it on his eyes.
JJ calls the last 10 days stressful, but a decision has been made, and it is binding. And that decision is effective immediately. The belt is held up and vacated until they can decide what to do.
The announcement is we have no announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood thought that they were going to hand the belt over to him.
Yeah.
So he's going crazy, while Sting just tells Dillon that he has no guts.
Absolutely.
And Hogan is a dead man as we go to commercial.
Lord willing.
When we come back, we get our 12th match. Diamond Dallas Page versus Kevin Nash with Hollywood Hogan for the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship.
And we've been talking about it for a long time, but Diamond Dallas Page is the people's champ.
Yes.
He's the working champ.
Yeah.
He is the people love, the person people love to cheer the most. They do Sting, but Sting just actually finally started doing things. DDP's been here holding it down, and they love him for good reason.
The champion came out first. Foreshadowing. Though, why didn't Kevin just stay in the ring? He was already there.
Gotta have the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could play the music. Both men play to the crowd to start before Nash drops DDP with a short arm clothesline, but Page responds by reversing a hip toss into a swinging neckbreaker for a 2 count. DDP then telegraphs a back body drop, allowing Kevin to club him across the back, taking control with right hands, knees, back elbows, and forearms. And Nash continues with a corner clothesline and a side slam for a near fall, before tossing Page to the floor to run him into the steel steps. Now back in the ring, Kevin hits a running straddle and delivers snake eyes, followed by dropping an elbow for a 2 count. DDP then floats over on a body slam attempt and goes for the cutter, when Hogan would jump on the apron to punch Page right in the face, with the ref calling for the disqualification. Now post-match, Nash with a big boot and sets up for the powerbomb, when the Giant would make his way into the ring to stare down Kevin.
That's all the time we got today, folks. Tune in on Nitro. See what happens on the end of Thunder.
And we fade to black. So I ask you, gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts of the very first episode of WCW Thunder?
I'll be quick. At this point, I'm on some who gives a shit with everything in WCW. 3 hours. How about fuck you? Because that's what they gave us, was a fuck you. And I'm like, fuck me, fuck you. What the fuck is this? Nothing's working.
Yeah. I'm going to take 2 thumbs and sit them upwards on the table. And then I'm going to take my head and I'm just going to jam eyeballs first onto my thumbs so I never have to watch another fucking episode of Thunder.
Take your glasses off. They're probably expensive.
Garbage. No, these are just readers.
Okay.
Yeah, this was a garbage episode. Waste of time, waste of TV, waste of whatever the fuck they paid anybody who worked on this show, with the exception of maybe
Mike
4
Tenay.
people.
Mike Tenay, Larry Zbyszko earned their keep. Tony Schiavone, I'm convinced he may be one of the worst to ever do it. He's never been great, but he's really been doing completely
Could you make this great though?
completely awful recently.
Could you make
Well, no.
what they're giving you great?
No, but he could attempt something that's not just yelling.
He's got guaranteed money.
I know.
Doesn't matter.
But I think I'm so over Tony Schiavone. It's crazy. Matt?
I think I like this episode more than you guys did, but it's no better or worse than your average Nitro episode. But I do agree that the booking is just downright bad at this point.
Yeah, this isn't a debut show. This is
a recap show with like a few matches that don't mean much. There's a couple angles, but they're not compelling. And it's like the recap stuff is unnecessary. And then the half of the show is Tony Schiavone yelling about this brawl that we've never seen before.
Hopefully they figure out that they need to make, which I believe, if I remember correctly, Thunder ends up becoming more of a work rate show at some point. I think it's probably after they end up going to taped. Because this show stays live for
a year.
The first 8 months.
Wow, that's longer than
and then they realized that it was just,
well, they said
since they weren't running house shows, it was kind of like, so we're literally flying our guys in on Mondays and then flying them home and then flying them back out Thursday. They were just kind of like,
it was one of those things where Nitro, I think, was doing well, and the channel wanted another show, but even Eric and those guys were like, I don't think we're ready for another show. They kind of had to and did, but they're obviously out of ideas, and you can tell that they didn't really want the extra 2 hours, 3 hours for this premiere, because they didn't do enough with it that was engaging. We're hot-shotting Brett and Rick. That should be teased for fucking 6 months to a year through other feuds and stuff.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? There. All right. Fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So what are some of the best moments of this show?
Ray Traylor pinned Scott Hall. That was cool.
And then, of course, obviously the Zbyszko
promo was so great. Zbyszko fucking rocks.
Actually, I liked Luger coming out at the beginning and being fired up.
Yeah, it was. No, that was cool. It just was one of those things where the angle is it's too little too late. It's obviously a good, not a terrible idea, but it's just one of those things where it's okay. I'm just over it enough where it gets an eye roll, but I think Luger's performance was good, and and I'd like to see that from Lex Luger. We all are mostly pro Lex Luger in general.
It sounded like you were kind of shitting on Jericho changing gimmicks, but
no, I'm just
in this world of WCW where literally the only people anyone in the back in the back of WCW care about are the main eventers.
Yes,
Jericho's going out there and doing something.
No, for sure.
That's at least a character.
No,
not just random fighter number 422.
No. I think that this was good it was good and interesting what he did. I'm just more of like what Jericho's done for the last like 3 or 4 years, where I'm just like, so in hindsight, it's an eye roll. In this moment in time, it's a good idea and it's done well and it's fun and interesting.
If you're talking what he's done in AEW, he's only on his technically like his 4th gimmick in 5 years.
Yeah, maybe. It just seems like it's every week. But that's just me shitting on Chris Jericho. He's a great wrestler.
What is his gimmick right now?
The learning tree.
The learning tree, that's right.
Hi, guys!
Who knows? It's one of those things, like, I think he's a great a great wrestler, a great talent, but...
It seems like the most annoying gimmick, but it's just the perfect amount of annoying that it garners heat.
Yeah. I just think that him as a person is a fucking blowhard, but he's a great wrestler. I can't deny the things that he's accomplished.
Got Steiner slapping around Duff.
Yeah. The Steiner angle made me kind of sad, but it was at least interesting. It's because I actually care about the Steiners. At all times, even when they're doing something that...
Good for Hoovy to win the belt.
Yeah, I was going to say, Hoovy got some gold.
There is, like, I guess there's some sprinkled stuff in. It's just the commentary is so bad and everything feels like a flashback. But there is a lot of wrestling they sprinkled in.
I mean, there is a lot of flashback, which...
Yeah. Really drags it down.
And confuses the fuck out of people watching the show. Kind of all I have for best.
How about most disappointing?
Oh, everything else.
It's hard to, like, yeah. I guess the most disappointing for me would be that the Rick and Brett stuff is like, should be fucking white hot, and we're just like, this isn't working. Like, the takeaway is this isn't working, and it shouldn't be hard to pull off.
Yeah.
It's an easy thing to pull off if you know or care about wrestling, which is kind of the biggest issue with WCW, is that it's run by a non-wrestling guy.
I think one of the more, like, they basically replayed the entire Hall and Giant interaction at Starrcade.
Mm-hmm.
They replayed the entire Bischoff-Zbyszko match.
Yep.
They then replayed the entire ending
of Nitro.
Of the Starrcade.
Starrcade.
Main event.
Ending of Nitro plus the stuff that was off air.
And then but here's the thing, like, you basically have said it's because it's a 3-hour Thunder. None of those 4 things are getting cut if this is a 2-hour Thunder. Those 4 things are staying on this show.
Jericho and Flair are getting cut.
Yeah.
So it's like
Chris Adams and Macho.
That's probably that's probably what's disappointing, is that knowing that the things that are the most disappointing on the show, that like bother us the most, aren't the things that would get cut if this was only a 2-hour show.
If they had a better commentator and they weren't willing to just give the pay-per-view clips away for free, then maybe they could have condensed those things.
You can't blame it on Tony.
But you got to remember... But you got to remember, as, like, I always was like, why does WCW continue to just, like, not care about pay-per-views and just continue to... But they're owned by a television company.
Yeah. They're selling ads. They're getting big numbers.
Which is a lot of the reason why, even now, 2024, I think TV, what happens on TV... is technically more important than what happens on a pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. Especially in WWE, because they don't charge for their pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Or PLEs.
Yeah. Like, for a couple bucks a month, you get a streaming service plus a huge library of wrestling and the pay-per-views. So it's like, well, if you like wrestling enough, then you also get a decent library that's not wrestling for $5 a month.
And on that same streaming network, or whatever you want to call it, you can't get the Raws and the SmackDowns
you gotta wait
for a month.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch the new stuff, then you gotta pay extra to see it over here.
Yeah.
And then next year you get to see it over here too if you pay a little more.
I mean, here in about 3 years, it seems like it'll all be on Netflix. And
that'll be interesting and weird.
Yeah.
Netflix would be $40, and I finally got rid of Netflix a while ago, just because it's like I don't use this enough, and I had to switch out the like card that I had, and I'm like, it's $15 a month. I use this barely. So if something comes out on Netflix and I really want to watch it, I'll just steal it. I'm just gonna steal it. I'm just gonna steal it off the internet because you charge too much money for something that, by and large, is just a bunch of bad television shows that I don't care about. But once you put wrestling on there, it might be different.
From the start of the show, you don't have a brand new show, a debut show, and not mention anything new. There's nothing new that happened at the beginning. All you did was talk about the stuff that's already happened that was shown earlier in the week for 7 minutes. And then you make yourself sound fucking stupid because we don't know if Macho Man's here, even though he's right here. We don't know anything. This show just made my head hurt.
It was literally watch it. It was just like, is someone not like giving them help in the back? Like, are we just throwing Tony out there to flail in the wind?
Hiss in the wind.
Like, I was just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Waving his dick in the wind.
Yeah,
and repeating himself.
We'll just say repeating ourselves. The repeating themselves with, let's have Ric Flair, show a flashback of Ric Flair and Bret Hart.
And then they
doing
use
the same promo.
Word
Oh
for
my
word.
goodness.
Yeah.
We want you to say your little
That
thing.
you could have said that in a couple lines as both of them walked to the ring.
Yeah, you could have just had them talk about that without showing the flashback, because there's no need for us to see the flashback if they're going to say the exact same fucking thing. Yeah, this was just... Maybe it's because I've watched all of the Deadpools here recently, but this is just lazy writing. Like, there's nothing exciting about this show.
Yeah.
To me.
How about best performer of the night?
ZYB. For a classic wrestling promo that meant something.
I mean, that's literally the best moment on the show is his promo.
Yeah. I mean, he does, He hits all the things.
I think the only other thing that I really, really liked was Jericho's actually have a good character.
Yeah, Juventud and Ultimo was good, but all the matches were very short.
Even though Jericho coming out, I was like, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about, bro. Because lower mid-card wrestler...
Yeah. WCW don't care about them.
Yeah, it just makes no sense.
And then people are about to stop caring about the one hot, interesting, the thing that wrestling fans like, in-ring wrestling fans like, because I love Juventud Guerrero, but they're hot-shotting this Cruiserweight title that had started to mean something, and it's just kind of jumping hands quickly. It's like, well, no, you kind of can't do that. And still, you might still get great matches, but people are not going to cheer as hard.
No.
And how about most surprising?
Rick
Martel.
Oh, Martel.
Yeah. You don't show up for 3 years and 140-something episodes.
Yeah.
A little bit of a surprise for us.
I mean, he looked so good.
I wanted my special debut. That wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but I mean, I guess it counts a little bit, but still.
One of the only
not enough to make me enjoy the show.
Yeah. One of the only exclamation points in all of my notes. Rick Martel.
Making their way to the ring.
It's trivia time.
Heck.
This week, the category is What's in a Name?
It's just a name, what's in a name?
So if you get it correctly, you get 5 points. If we go to multiple choice and get it right then, it goes down to 3 points. So I will give you the real name of a wrestler. You will give me the actual wrestler name.
Simple enough, I hope.
The name this week is Gary Wolf. Shane?
Gotta say, Pitbull #1.
That is correct.
The king of the Halo.
Yes. And that's the only reason I know that name, because...
They said it constantly for
a year. They called him Gary for a while.
Yeah, like basically a year to 6 months.
Aside from Gary Hart, I don't know of any
sometimes
other Garys in wrestling.
I try and ease you guys into these trivia questions a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. Scared to know the next one.
Yeah.
Next week, Royal Rumble 19. 98.
Oh, the Royal Rumble. A show I know I'm going to enjoy.
Yep.
I can't even say the
WCW
words.
took the Y
Right
out of you.
I got no Y anymore. Just, yeah. Can't.
Music for this week's show is Out to Lunch by Steve Everett. And DDP won our main event. So we play Self High Five intro cut by Jimmy Hart and JJ McGuire.
Out to Lunch. That's where WCW booking is right now.
Shit.
Pretty much.
The good wrestlers are in catering.
And if you like this episode or any of our others, please go out there and rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you find your podcasts at. If you're watching or listening, it'd be more listening on YouTube because we don't do video.
Yeah.
You know, like, subscribe, hit that bell, get the notifications.
Right. Share. Just
Tell
a friend.
Tell your worst enemy about us.
Yeah.
You know.
Tell them that
Telegraph.
they need to watch
Yeah.
the debut episode of Thunder.
Telegraph, tell a friend, tell a wrestler.
And if you have any questions, comments, concerns,
Typically, this is where I'd ask for like recipes and stuff, but I really, really want to hear from you about this show. Did you hate it as much as I did? Did you hate it as much as Michael did? Or did you like it as just a little bit more than what we did, like Matt did?
We absolutely dare you to start a podcast that only talks about every episode of Thunder. Yeah, brave soul.
I'm sure there's probably a podcast out there that covered all of WCW.
Yeah, there's probably there's probably one that covers Thunder too. But whatever. I'm just making a joke.
Yeah, I really want to know what you thought. I typically will ask for food help and whatnot, but
You always figure it out.
we'll figure something out for next time. I want to know what you thought of this show. What would you have changed? How would you have arranged it to make it any kind of joy?
All right, well, don't do that. There's already Days of Thunder, a WCW Thunder podcast. I'd say give them a listen, but that
movie.
sounds dark.
Days of Thunder, the movie? Absolutely. I don't know if I can handle a Thunder podcast, though. But yeah, slide into our DM. Shoot us an email. I really want to know what you think of this, what I consider shitbag episode, because it sucked. Thunder in name only. There was no boom.
Yeah.
There was no rumble. There was no lightning.
It sucked the pond water.
Yeah.
The
closest to Thunder we had was that shitty cartoon sound and rain that they had at the very start of the show.
I thought the intro was actually better.
They just stole the same stuff that they used on Sting's Starcade intro.
Yeah.
Thunder and lightning.
I mean, they never have or never will have WWF production. They don't have the time for it.
Well, maybe on the last episode.
Zing!
They've got some WWF trucks outside helping them out on that one.
If you have any of those things, you can email us at WrestlingHistoryX@gmail.com or find us on X at WrestlingHistoX. It's Wrestling HISTO. We'll talk to you next week.
The laters. Hopefully this is the last Thunder we have to watch. Bye!